my creative process. So, there are a lot of artists out here, and almost everyone has their own unique, special way of being creative. Thus, the creative process. I'm no different, but I have noticed that my creative process has changed over the years. Because in the beginning, in the very beginning, when I just started writing, my creative process came from all of my frustrations, all of the anger I had for the world, all of those deep, dark thoughts that would just storm in the back of my brain like, "Wow, I want to kill somebody." So that's why if you read my old work, like my old work when I was younger, there's a lot of death in there. I'm killing a lot of people, and I'm torturing a lot of people, and I'm destroying the world, basically. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to hell a few times, coming back unscathed, like no problem. I am doing a lot of things in my early writing that I don't do anymore because I've written it all off. So in the beginning, my creative process was based on pain, my personal pain, right? And then because people started to read my work, I had to change my way of writing basically because I had a whole book out. The book was filled with all the dark writing. People bought it, told me they couldn't get through the book because it was just too dark. It was too heavy for them. And that hurt my feelings as a writer because that's the one thing you don't want to hear people say. Like, yo, I like your work, but it's just too dark. Like, I like your work, but I can't finish it. I like your work, but not for me. No, oh man, that hurt so much. So what I did then was I looked at my work and restructured the way I wanted to. Hold up, hold up, hold up. There's a mosquito right now. Did I get him? You see me get him? Did I get him? I don't know if I got him. Did I? I don't know. Whatever. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Stupid mosquito. Sorry for that. So yeah, people said my work was too dark. So I decided that I had to change the way I write stuff because I did want to be seen as a real writer. I did want people to read my work and feel connected to it. And I didn't just want crazy people in jail that just kill everybody like, yo, this book is amazing. I should have written this one. No, I don't want those people. I want the regular people who go through regular things to be like, yes, I can relate to his work. So I had to restructure the way I write. And to do that, I had to restructure the way I found inspiration, the way I got inspired. So what I started to do was very simple. I started to listen to people. Now, this may sound very weird, like listen to people. How can that? To me, the biggest inspiration I can find, I can have, is people. People and their stories. People's stories to me are the most amazing thing in this world. That's why I love a good conversation because in a good conversation, you hear people's stories. You hear what they have to say. You hear what they go through. You hear how they feel when they go through certain things. To me, that's precious. That right there is worth diamonds, in my opinion, because the world is nothing but a great story. If you have an amazing story, you can get away with damn near anything. Think about it. You could be a serial killer or you could be a hero based on the story behind it. Just think about it. So to me, stories were always like that, that beautiful thing that that really inspired me. Once I flipped from going from the dark into the light, I was like, yeah, okay. Now that I'm in the light, I need, stories. But after a while, you speak to everybody in your circle, so you start talking to strangers. The internet is a very good place to talk to strangers. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And those strangers give you a lot of beautiful stories as well. But at a certain point, basically you get too old to be talking to strangers all the damn day. So what you start doing is you got to look for another way to get inspired. And now, at this certain point in time, right? At this certain point in time in my life, I am still inspired by stories. If you have a story, tell me. I love to hear stories. But I can't rely on always having stories at the ready, stories being told to me. So what I do now is very simple. I listen to lines. Lines are extremely beautiful once one hits you. And when I say a line, I mean like a quote. Like, for example, you're watching a movie and the guy's like, "The sky has never been darker." It might sound like a real normal line, but in my mind, like, the sky has never been darker. There's a story behind that. And then I go to work in my mind, like, okay, so the sky was never darker than that. Then what if there was never a sky that was brighter? Wouldn't that be a nice contrast? What could be the story behind that? And that's how I start going back and forth in my mind about how to create that story or create that poem. So that's how I usually find my inspiration nowadays. And then once I get the concept down, once I get down what the general gist of the poem or the story will be, I sit down and I just write. I know this sounds very, very like you just write. Really, it's that easy. It's not that easy. It's just I've been doing it for so long. The only way I can explain it is I just sit down and I write because I don't know how to explain it any other way. I know there is a certain process to how I write, but I can't find the words to describe that just yet. It's just that I sit down and I usually base my entire piece, the way it flows, the tone of the entire piece, and for me, sits in that first sentence. That very first sentence of the story or the poem decides the entire piece, in my opinion. That's just this. Now, it's not even my opinion. That's my creativity. I messed up on that. Don't listen to my opinion. Creativity. Scratch that. Get back on it. So for me, that first line is key. That first line defines everything because that first line sets the tone. That's the first thing the reader gets in. That's the first thing they absorb. After that comes the rest of the story. But the first line needs to be, get them in. So after that, I just write the whole piece based on basically that first line and the theme I had worked out in the back of my mind. And that's how I create my pieces. Sometimes, though, you don't really have a first line kind of thing. Sometimes I just want to tell a poem that in itself is a line, if that makes any sense to you. Like, it's not one specific quote. It has to be the entire piece that comes across. Because with some poets and some poems, you can take like one line that was just that really hit home. And even if you take it out of context, it's still a nice line. I love those pieces. Honestly, I love those pieces. But if the piece itself is the line, if the piece itself is the quote, that's the one that really sticks with me. Because for me, for my creativity, I just love telling a good story. And a good story doesn't have to be filled with a bunch of amazing quotes. It just has to be a good story. And I learned that from listening to people. Because when people tell you their story, their life experiences, I'm pretty sure they don't throw in amazing quotes. Like, what is a really good quote? I don't even know. Pick one. Find one online. Tell me about what a good quote is. And then I'll put it in next time when I do the videos. I'll make a whole good quote video. I don't really care. But for now, when someone tells you their life story, they don't give you any good quotes. They just tell you how it happened. And that is, for me, is very important. Just say what happened and how it felt. Those two things are always in the back of my mind. How did it feel and how did you react to what happened? I always try to keep those things together with my creative writing because those things tell the story. Because if you just wanted a simple, yo, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, finished. That's how a guy tells a story. Like, I went to the store, bought some milk, came back, finished. Nothing else happened. But a writer would have to be like, I went outside. The sky was dark. It was about to rain. You could taste it in the air. some weird like that. See? And for me, finding those right words to tell the story is very important. It's very, very important, but it's not as important as telling the story. That's my creative process. Just listen to that one line and take something out of it. Like when you watch a movie and you hear someone say this one sentence that just really hit home, like, that's an amazing line. What I usually do, I immediately, like, pen pad, write down, like, that was a cool line. When I get home, I gotta do something with that one. Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. That's what I usually do because that's what gets me inspired. I hope this helps you in any way, shape, or form. I'm pretty curious to hear what your creative process is and how you come up with themes and how you work on it and whatnot. So put them down in the comments. Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. I'll see you in the next one. Fino.
Love, loss, finding yourself, acceptance, moving on, Pulse, available now.